All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, April 10th. We have just 6 games on today's MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays for the day, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of yesterday, it's going to look like a 5-5 day, and your assumption would probably be, okay, well, you lose a little bit with the juice, right? No, we actually end up profiting 0.01 units yesterday because 2 of those losses were a split quarter unit there. White Sox first 5 plus the 0.5, and then White Sox first 5 money line. Those were equal to one of any of the other plays. I knew it wasn't going to be that great of a day when our first play, Javier Baez, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, looks amazing for 99.9% of the game. And then he gets on base in the 9th inning, and with 2 outs, the dude comes through because of a wild pitch, too. He moved from second to third, and it was like, what are we doing here? And he comes through and scores. So, yeah, that under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, I still think was a decent look, just doesn't come through. We can speak about one of the other losses that we had that was just a terrible look. Randy Arozarena. Yikes. That dude has his best game of the season. We had his under. We already talked about the White Sox losses. And then the Angels Rays first 5 under, also a bad look there. So realistically, all of those losses, because the White Sox didn't really hang in the first 5 either. All those losses other than Javier Baez were just really bad reads. In terms of our wins, which was obviously good reads, right? Mark Vientos, that looked really good. His under 1.5 hits, under RBIs. The Reds Giants Nerfy, love that we played that. Christian Encarnacion Strand, what do you go, 0 for 5. We had the Twins Royals first 5 under, and then Padres money line. Glad we rolled with that for plus 100 there. So like I said, profitable day. The hot streak's probably like when we were crushing, right? I would say 2 days in a row now we've gone 0.05, not 0.5, 0.05 units of profit, and then 0.01 units of profit, meaning the last 2 days combined 0.06. Like, it's still green, but I don't know if we're on the heater like we were to start the year. But you know what? We can certainly try today. Only 6 games. We're probably going to be a little conservative, but sometimes I say that, and it's like, hey, be conservative, and all of a sudden we have 10 plays before I know it. So let's go ahead and dive into this late, guys. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. Let's get rocking here. We got Tampa Bay taking on the Angels. So far in this series, it's realistically been, I guess you could say, a hard-fought series, right? 4-3 win for LA in Game 1, and then yesterday, Tampa Bay battles back here and wins 5-4. We liked the first 5 under in this one, obviously, and you know what? Tampa Bay scores 4 right away. Then I was like, all right, well, no way that we're going to get another one, right? They had like 7 runs after 5 innings. So, yeah, tough to see that. Both pitchers pitched like 5 innings. I think Pepio did, and then Kikuchi pitched like 6 innings. But nonetheless, that was one of our losers. Today we have Soriano on the bump for the Angels going up against Zach Littell. Both of these guys have a really good start to start the season and a really bad start to start the season. And the thing that I'm really confused about in terms of trying to peg these two guys, one, I would say that I like Littell more, right? But he went up against Colorado, had a good start, and then he went up against Texas, a bad offense, and had a bad start. You're like, okay, well, that's really interesting, right? Soriano's in the exact same boat. He had a really good start against the White Sox, bad offense, and then he pitched against Cleveland, bad offense, and had a terrible start. So I sit here kind of questioning which pitcher is in a better situation. Who do we like in this one? And ultimately, I feel like the home team's probably the move here. I don't necessarily like a lot of runs yet again in this one. I just think that, Littell at home, it's worth noting that I guess his good start this season did come at home. His bad start came on the road, whereas I guess Soriano's kind of in the same boat, right? Bad start at home, good start on the road. So guess take that for what it's worth. But overall, I do think that I would trust Littell a little bit more. Now, his numbers against this Angels roster are a little bit alarming, which is a path that you can go down if you do like the Angels today. But to me, like I said, I'm just going to trust the home team, and I do think Littell's a slightly better pitcher in this matchup, especially given the fact that he's going to throw a ton of sliders. That's not exactly the best pitch that LA hits. He then moves on to the splitter and the sinker. LA does hit the splitter well, but not necessarily the sinker. And they also don't hit righties all that tremendously. And if he goes to the fastball or anything like that, it's not like they have this crazy good offense. I know you look at some of their recent numbers, and it's like, what are you talking about? 4, 4, 6, 6. They're averaging like over 5 runs per game this year. I still don't believe in this Angels offense. So I'll lean towards Tampa Bay. It's not exactly my favorite spot, but I could also get convinced of a first 5 under again, but a little scarred after losing that yesterday. You know what I mean? In terms of what we have from a total, I guess that's kind of tipping my hand, right? I don't mind the idea of an under because even though I like Tampa Bay, we've talked a lot more about pitching in this spot than the offense. I don't think Tampa Bay's offense is all that great, and I don't think that they will be all that great. So maybe it's a spot to consider an under overall. I do worry about the bullpen, I guess, of both teams, but realistically, the bullpen of the Angels just kind of being super volatile. But Tampa Bay, their bullpen is very, very taxed, so that could be an issue. LA's bullpen is good to go. I just don't think they're a very good bullpen. So neither one of those are a great situation, One player prop, and we're sticking to some of these player prop unders. Joe Adell here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. If we do jump into, and we can jump into Outlier, I can walk you through it here. This is Outlier, guys. If you are interested in this tool, I have a link down in the description. 7-day free trial. The best MLB player prop sports research tool here. So you can see him on the year so far. He's hit the under in 6 of 8 games. Him against Littell, only 2 plate appearances against, 0 in terms of an average. Not much to go off of there, but this is really what I'm focusing on. Versus righties, this is last season. I mean, he only batted 207 in general, but versus righties, he dips below 200. His WRC plus drops from 90 to 75.7. Littell against right-handed batters, okay, that's a little worrisome, but in terms of the pitch mix, we have the slider, the splitter, the fastball, and the sinker. Starting with the slider, okay, his WOBA does go up, so he hits the slider well, but his strikeout rate jumps all the way up to 33%, so maybe we get a couple strikeouts out of him today. The splitter, that next pitch, his WOBA drops to .070, a 70 WOBA, strikeout rate of 70 as well. Fastball WOBA drops, so does the K rate, it goes up, and then the sinker being the one pitch that he hits well, but he's only going to get that 14.9% of the time. So I do like the matchup here. Even the sinker, you could see he hits when it's over the plate. Littell likes to throw it up and in. The slider that he hits well, he hits really well when it's down and into him. Looks like Littell likes to throw it on the outside. So I do like Joe Adell here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Right now, you get some decent value, too. That's -130, -140 over on DK. I think that probably has a chance of being a final play, as well as the first 5 under. I don't necessarily mind that either. But like I said, I could go back and forth and make an argument for both sides here, which is always an issue, I guess you could say, in terms of really wanting to roll with something. Cleveland taking on the White Sox. Yeah, guys, there's some games here that we're like, what are we doing? This is one of them. We have Gavin Williams on the mound going up against Jonathan Cannon. I'd be crazy to tell you that I love either side here. We do have Gavin Williams, who had one good start against Kansas City and then really struggled against said Angels team that we just talked about. Jonathan Cannon hasn't looked all that terrible. I mean, he went up against Detroit, but Detroit's kind of proven to be a very good lineup, and they hit him well. And he went up against the Angels team that we just said Gavin Williams pitched, pretty poorly against, right? Or I guess against, and he actually pitched really well. 5 shutout innings against that LA team. They lose. I think that was like the 3rd game of the year. They lose 1-0. I'm not ready to say that Jonathan Cannon is good whatsoever or anything like that, but I'm also not and haven't really been the biggest Gavin Williams guy. So depending on, weather here, I think we do have a lot of rain potential in this game. I was thinking about an over, which I know is crazy to say with these two offenses, but I'm just not a big fan of either pitcher here. And at some point, I do think, we saw, a 1-0 game and then a 3-2 game yesterday. It's like at some point, I wonder if we're just going to have like a higher scoring game, especially to close out a series. I don't know if I actually put my hard-earned bread on that, you know what I mean? But, like, it just seems like it'd be the contrarian play. And like I said, this is kind of a messy game. So I'd lean towards the over, and I guess by default, I'd look at the White Sox because there's no shot that I'm paying either of these prices. You have the -1.5 for -115 on the Cleveland side, nope. And -250 for Cleveland money line, nope. So I guess by default, leaning towards the White Sox. With that weather, I did kind of plug around and think about some player props here. First one being an under for Lane Thomas, as well as an under for Brian Rocchio. Both of those guys, I just think that they're in decent spots. And again, this offense is just not hitting well. So you can pretty much take anyone on this offense. And if you're like me and like the early season player prop unders for batters, you could probably find one you like via the pitch mix and all that type of stuff. Hey guys, speaking of player props, how about we talk a little bit of golf here? Bryson DeChambeau, 0.5 strokes. Does he hit the ball once at the Masters? They're doing something really cool here because the Masters starts today, which I'm super excited about. Make sure you check out our Masters video if you have not yet. But each day, whatever day you sign up, you can get this Bryson free square. They're going to offer it to new customers for all 4 of the days throughout the Masters. So go ahead and check it out. If you're watching this late in the day, Bryson, you probably can't get that square anymore or something like that. You can use it on Friday. If you're watching this for whatever reason on Friday, they'll have this same offer there for you. You get this free pick to add into your entry. If you guys don't know what Underdog is, it's super, super cool, super fun, and super easy, which I think is a great combination, right? Being able to have more action on the games and throw it in very, very quickly. You combine 2 or more player props or plays and pick higher or lower based on the set projection that Underdog has. So you could take higher as in overs or lower as in unders. And again, you put 2 or more into an entry. The more you win, the more you get paid out. You can go up to 1,000x your moolah over there on Underdog. Use the link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. You'll get this Bryson square as well as up to $1,000 in a deposit bonus. No brainer at this point, guys. Go ahead and check it out. And yeah, we're talking baseball here, but man, oh man, am I excited for the Masters, and that sweetens the deal just a little bit. But let's go ahead and dive back into these games. We got 4 more. Next up, Kansas City taking on Minnesota. Michael Wacha is on the bump against Bailey Ober. This one is another one, and I know you guys hate when I say it, but you can make an argument for either side here. First and foremost, this series has been low scoring to start, right? 4-2, 2-1, and then Minnesota finally gets their first win of the series yesterday for nothing there. Excuse me. Michael Wacha, like I said, on the mound for Kansas City. He has a good start under his belt against a Cleveland offense, and both of his starts, I believe, have been at home this year, but a good start against Cleveland, that's not saying all that much. He goes up against Baltimore and does not exactly pitch all that well. Flip it over to the Bailey Ober side of things. He has a road start against St. Louis, and he gets shelled. And then he has a home start against Houston, and he pitches really well. 4 innings, just 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 earned run. So, yeah, you take a peek at this one, and it's like, okay, well, are we going to get the good Bailey Ober or a bad one? Are we going to get the good Michael Wacha or a bad one? We take a peek at their stats against the current roster that they're going up against. Now, when I say this, it is not Michael Wacha versus the Twins. It is Michael Wacha versus any of the guys that currently make up the roster of the Twins. So keep that in mind. We'll start with Bailey Ober, though. Same exact thing. Both have good sample sizes to go off of here. Bailey Ober, 118 plate appearances against, so a lot. Just 19.5% K rate. In fact, this season, I want to say that he's sitting, at a very, very low K rate. It's not very, very low. I guess good against righties, bad against lefties. We'll get to that. But 19.5% K rate, 6% walk rate, average against, though, of 314, expected batting average against of 279, expected slugging 580, expected WOBA 390. So not all that great, right? All of a sudden, scale starts to lean towards Michael Wacha in the Royals. You take a peek at Michael Wacha in terms of him against this Twins roster. 95 plate appearances, so a good sample size, 22% K rate, 4.2% walk rate, expected batting average against of 234, expected slugging 357, and expected WOBA 271. So a lot better on the Wacha side of things, right? What I like is him throwing the fastball and the cutter. That's going to make up, I believe it's like 54% of his pitch mix. Those are 2 pitches that this Twins team really, really does struggle to hit. So 29th to start the season in terms of runs above average. So second worst runs above average against the fastball, and then the cutter 28th. Third worst, right? You throw in the fact that he's a righty. This Twins team does hit righties a lot better than they do lefties. I mean, they have stunk. They don't have the biggest sample size, but they have stunk out loud against lefties to start the season. That worries me a little bit, especially later on in the order. They have some guys that are batting like 300 against righties, whereas Kansas City against righties, struggling mightily, right? So I do think that, they have a pitching advantage on the Kansas City side of things for sure. A little iffy about the offense, as Kansas City offense has looked surprisingly bad to start the season, you know what I mean? So I do think that I'm going to give the edge to Kansas City. I'm going to lean in their direction, but it's tough to make that case. I'm going to go first 5 as well, because I do think that the later this game goes, the more bullpen arms that Minnesota can use. Let me actually get an update on their bullpen in terms of their usage and whatnot. They only went with Jackson Duran yesterday. Kansas City's bullpen is good to go as well. So you have two fairly healthy bullpens going at each other. Not exactly what I'm interested in to make that argument here against, Kansas City versus Minnesota. Minnesota's bullpen's been okay to start the season. So first 5 for Kansas City for me. I don't mind the idea of, Michael Wacha having to pitch well and then not worrying about backing the offense of Kansas City. So maybe like a Minnesota team total under. Again, this has been a very low scoring game in general. So right now you can get under 4.5 for their team total, which they have hit so far this season in 8 of 12 games. The only games they didn't was kind of right in the middle there. But again, this series 2, 1, and 4. Even yesterday they stayed under it. So that could be something that we take a peek at. Maybe even just a first 5 under. But if you don't want to back Kansas City's offense and you make the argument that Michael Wacha maybe has a slight advantage here, then maybe you do look at, the under in terms of that, rather than having to ride with some sort of like a, Kansas City thriller because they can't score 3 runs. So they have to hold Minnesota down, In terms of player prop, this is one that I'm considering as of right now. I do think that we may get it across. It's going to be Byron Buxton here, under 1.5 bases. The only reason I really do like it is because -160 over on Caesars and MGM, right? Elsewhere, this is in the -170s. If you have 365, you're getting it for -155, which is even better, but you're paying a lot of juice, but even still, you're getting like 10 to 15 cents of value just overall. So yeah, I mean, if you're not someone that likes to lay that much juice, I don't think that this is like the best of situations, but there's little value behind it. In terms of him going up against a right-handed pitcher, that tracks. In terms of Wacha against righties, that tracks. The changeup being his main pitch, he doesn't hit the changeup as well as he does other ones, but he does hit the fastball well, which we're going to get a decent amount of the fastball here. So yeah, I would say, as long as his changeup is on, this is a good look, under 1.5 bases, but I understand if you think it's a little bit too much juice. Milwaukee and Colorado. So this is one of those games and series that I really haven't had, and we haven't had any plays on, right? Haven't had too much interest in. Milwaukee's offense looks like it is doing pretty damn well out there in Colorado, though, right? 7 runs, and you're like, oh, that's a lot. Next game, they score 17 runs. And it wasn't really even like they scored them all right away off Santazella. Like, he went, 2 innings of scoreless baseball, then they scored 5 runs off of him, and then they go and, like, right before he comes out, I think he pitched, like, into the 5th inning, they scored another 5, so it was 2 big spurts, and then they scored 7 runs in the top of the 9th, so really, really, like, interesting in terms of where Milwaukee scored yesterday. Now, in terms of what we have pitching-wise, we have Quinn Priester on the mound, who I don't believe has made a start yet this year, right, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be interesting to kind of keep an eye on here. And this is the first time pitching for Milwaukee, and he's in Colorado. That's probably why we're seeing the odds a little bit more even in this one than you might think after a 17 to whatever Colorado scored yesterday. I don't mind the idea of Colorado, kind of stealing one here against a pitcher that is still acclimating to pitching. You have Feltner on the mound, who I really don't love, Ryan Feltner, but let's be honest, he hasn't looked terrible this year. He's gone up against Tampa Bay and the Athletics. Take it for what it's worth, but 5 innings pitched, and this was in Colorado in his last start. 5 innings pitched. He did allow 8 hits and I think 1 or 2 walks, so a decent amount of base runners, but only 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. Yeah, 1 walk, so 9 base runners, and that 1 run or 1 swing of the bat amounted to those earned runs. It was a home run. So yeah, I think that he could probably, Milwaukee might have just blown their load, all in that game yesterday, or at least these first 2 games, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go and steal one. Milwaukee also has a series. They have to travel to Arizona right after this game. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of sleepwalk through this one, and then they're looking forward to, almost daunting of a task here to go and play Arizona. Whereas Colorado, yes, they have to go play San Diego, but I feel like they already think they're a bad ball club, but it's like, oh, well, we don't care about that. Whereas Milwaukee probably feels like they got some momentum behind them, right? They have won, 7 of their last 8 games or something like that. So them going to play Arizona, they're probably getting pumped for and look ahead spot. I know that's not exactly always the case with baseball, but I do think it could be valid here. In terms of a total, can't help but lean towards an over. If Colorado's going to win, they'll probably score some runs, even though they're not that great of an offense. In Milwaukee, it'd be tough to just be like, oh, Feltner's going to shut them down, right? So I'll lean slightly towards the over, and then I have no player props in this one as well. Boston taking on Toronto. Yesterday was a very low-scoring game, 2-1 win for Toronto. The Red Sox offense looks ice cold. 2, 1, and 1. Those are the runs scored in their last 3 games. Prior to that, 18, 5, 5, 13, 8. They started to get going, and now they've cooled off. Now, in this spot, you have Chris Bassitt, who has looked pretty damn good to start the season. He's pitching late in the games. He's gone up against Baltimore. He's gone up against the Mets. 2 offenses that I would say haven't necessarily clicked yet this year, but still are good offenses in theory and in fundamentally on paper, right? So I'm giving him some credit, even though I am a Red Sox fan. He's going up against Walker Buehler, who... Walker Buehler hasn't looked all that tremendous whatsoever, and I think Red Sox fans are probably still waiting for him to look good and all of that. He hasn't looked good, so that's what concerns me to somewhat of a degree, right? His issues. The one thing that I will say, and if we jump into my dashboard here, which, guys, if you want access to this dashboard, I'll show you in just a second. It's over on GuyBossSports.com. Our members have access to this, but a couple things that I want to look at here. We're getting an extreme amount of sinkers, and then there's even the slider and splitter mixed in here, right? That's going to make up, 39 plus 11, 50, and then 8 more, over almost 60% of his pitch mix in terms of Chris Bassitt. Those are 3 pitches that the Red Sox hit pretty damn well. They've hit righties pretty well to start the season, and you can even see here, Duran, we have to get his data pulled in for his pitches, but you can even see here, the cutter they hit well too, which he's going to throw a lot of, and this is just by player now, not as a team. Like I mentioned, the splitter, or the sinker, the slider, the splitter, all of that. I think the pitch mix could be a good spot for the Red Sox team. This is what I worry about. Walker Buehler has looked pretty damn scary in terms of wanting to back him. Throw in the fact that you have Bichette and Guerrero starting to get going here. Both those guys are hitting righties really well to start the season. We have their batting average versus righty on the dashboard here as well. The one sort of saving grace, I guess, is that Walker Buehler has a 7-pitch pitch mix. So hopefully he can kind of start to figure out what's working. And 2 of his main pitches here, the cutter and the slider, those are 2 pitches that Toronto doesn't necessarily hit all that well. Now, that said, Tanner Houck throws that slider/sweeper, and they were kind of on it yesterday. You can make the argument that Tanner Houck didn't have it placed well and all that type of stuff, which makes sense. But ultimately, I do think that this could be a spot where the Red Sox take one. And you throw in the fact that I just don't really envision them getting 4 games swept by Toronto. Yeah, I lean towards the Red Sox minus the 1.5, or excuse me, minus the 120 in this one. Minus 1.5, not so much. I'm not a big run line. Don't think this is a big run line spot. But overall, yeah, I think the Red Sox can squeak this one out. I would also say it's like a 5-4 type of a game, so a slight lean to the over in this spot. But again, I kind of want to give Chris Bassitt a little bit of credit here. I think that they can get to him, but he's had some good starts this season, but in his career against the current Red Sox roster, he's got over 100 plate appearances against, a 10.1% walk rate, 22% K rate, an average against of 292, expected WOBA of 343, real WOBA of 387. So I don't think that he's going to be this shutdown guy against them, you know what I mean? As much as he's pitched well this season. So give me the Red Sox as well as a slight lean to the over, and then I want to make sure we didn't have any player props in this one before we do move on. Anthony Santander is one that we would consider for his under either bases or hits, runs, and RBIs. Game 1, he had 1 hit, and I want to say it was 1 hit and 1 run. Maybe it was 1 hit and 1 RBI, either way. But his total bases, which you could still get the under at right now, he's only gone over this once or twice this entire season. So, yeah, I like the idea of him under 1.5 bases, probably a little bit more than the hits, runs, and RBIs. So that definitely has a chance of being a final play. The scary thing is we just got to figure out if we do want to trust Walker Buehler, right? In terms of data against him, 200 average in 6 plate appearances against, but just 1 total base. So that kind of tracks as well. But we do want to get a decent amount of swing and misses here for him, because that's going to be the key to make sure that he's not, all over it, which he is a good batter. We know that. So hopefully, we're not cringing and sweating that one out, and it looks like, Walker Buehler's on, and then at least we can get through a few at-bats that way. All right, to get access to that beautiful dashboard that you just saw, that is our Guy Boston Sports members dashboard over on the site. It's different than the YouTube membership, but over on GuyBostonSports.com, members, you can see that right here. Head over to MLB Dashboard. If you are logged in and already have an account, boom, you'll see it. You can open up the dashboard. You get a visual, one-stop shop to start your research process each and every day. What we have in here, in fact, I can zoom in to make it a little bit clearer for you guys. We have pitcher data, right? We have their pitch mix, so you know the percentage of what pitches pitches they throw. We also have bullpen data as well for the season. Then we move over to the right side, which is more of the offense and the batting. We have the batting overall this season, or it's going to be last 30 days once we have enough data pulled in against the specific hand. So this will auto update. If Jonathan Cannon was a lefty, we'd see lefty down here, right? Same thing with the road and away, in a road and home. If someone's on the road, it's going to auto update and start pulling their road numbers. Then we move into versus specific pitches here for the teams, right? You can see all of the fastballs. They're color coordinated for the most part in terms of runs above average, which is a really good metric. And then over here, we have the projected starting lineups, average versus that hand, and then guys specifically against pitches in terms of their runs above average. Very similar to what we see here, but now it is pitch specific for the player specific. So you can see how those offenses are doing. So this is a really, really cool tool. We put a ton of time into building this and creating it each and every day. And it pulls from a bunch of different sites. You get every single game. It's kind of a one-stop shop to start your process, right? You can kind of get a feel for the game heading into it, and then obviously incorporate more tools and whatnot. But to get access to that, like I said, it's over in the dashboard area. If you're not logged in, you're going to see something like this. It's going to say, hey, hold on, buddy. You need a membership, right? We do have a couple different memberships available right now. If you want the NBA dashboard, which is awesome as well, we've been using that all season, and the MLB dashboard, I recommend going with the all sports package. If you just want to get each of these individually, you can do that. That wouldn't make sense money-wise, but if you are interested in just one sport, we offer that as well. So check out GuyBostonSports.com. Head over to the members area, guys. This is a tool that, again, I use myself totally, and we give it to you guys at obviously a pretty damn cheap price. Each of these lower than like a Starbucks cup of coffee, but I wanted to share with you guys. But it does take a lot of work to build, and we have some great reviews on it too. When people start using it and really start understanding it, it is a great starting point on the daily to save you some time. So yeah, consider checking it out. It's over there, GuyBostonSports.com, if you do want to support us and get a great dashboard. All right, last game of the day here. We got Atlanta taking on Philadelphia. Right now, Atlanta favored at home, total sitting at 7.5. Atlanta got that win against, when they had the Zach Wheeler and Chris Sale matchup, even though I don't know if Chris Sale looked all that tremendous. Neither pitcher really did, right? But Philadelphia bounces back yesterday. Taijuan Walker goes 4 2/3. Holmes only goes 4 innings. Today we have Jesus Luzardo, who is coming off of an incredible start against, who did he pitch against? Was it the Dodgers? Yeah, I think Dodgers, right? At home. Atlanta's pitcher, Spencer Schwellenbach, coming off of 2 really good starts, but he's gone up against San Diego. I want to give him credit for that one. Then he went up against Miami. I don't really love that, and that's the game where the Braves actually showed up and scored 10 runs. He went 8 innings of scoreless baseball. I do think that he is a good pitcher. I almost want to kind of give Luzardo a little bit more backing here, just due to the fact that the Braves offense hasn't really showed up. Luzardo has that slider. He has a fastball. His pitch mix does match up pretty damn well against this current Braves roster. So I guess we'll keep that in mind with our looks here, because I do think Philadelphia's offense is what will end up determining this game. When they need a big hit or something like that, I think that's when it comes out. So I'm giving Schwellenbach the pitching credit. I don't know if, he is good enough to just shove against a Phillies team that is very good, but the fact that we're getting plus 110 behind the Phillies here, that's kind of where my brain goes. You know what I mean? I can't necessarily knock it. Atlanta's bullpen, pretty taxed. Phillies, I would put them in a very similar situation, but they probably can use guys if they need to. Now, in terms of what they have coming up, the Philadelphia is traveling to St. Louis to take on a series against the Cards, and then Atlanta heads to Tampa Bay. So both these teams have, away series right after this. I don't think there are any look-ahead spots or anything like that. I'm just going to trust the fact that this offense is better on the Philly side of things, because I don't love the idea of backing Jesus Luzardo, other than the fact that he's shoved last time out. You know what I mean? But this has been a guy that has been electric, but then also had some really, really bad starts in his career. But you know what? I still think that he's in a good spot in Philly, in a good situation. So give me them on the money line here, maybe even a first 5 money line. Neither one of these bullpens is all that fantastic, and I said they're a little taxed, so things could just get volatile towards the end of the game, but I like the Phillies. In terms of a total, I guess I'd lean towards the over if I'm back in the Phillies offense, but maybe we do even take Luzardo out of the equation, right, and say, okay, well, if we like the Phillies to win this one, we do have, I believe, a chance of precipitation, but there is wind blowing out towards the outfield today. Maybe we take a peek at Phillies team total over. Right now you can get over 3.5 for plus 100. So I'm assuming there's some bad weather out there, but that's got to be just like it's 20% precipitation. I should probably do a little bit more work in looking into that, doing my due diligence, because the fact that you can get for plus 100 for them to score 4 runs, a stat in which they've done in a bunch of games this season, Seems a little too good to be true, right? And you know what mom says, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And then I don't have any player props as of right now in this one. We might look to add some, but as of right now, nothing going. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 29. I know we'll get the guppies yapping that only a 6-game slate and somehow have still made it a half-hour video. Yeah, I can talk. We like talking about sports. I'm sorry, but not sorry. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Hit that like button if you did. Hit that subscribe button. Keep letting me know in the comments what you guys are rolling with, because there's been some awesome plays down in the comments, all right? But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.